there's another story on the front page that's related to what we've been talking about in the past 5 minutes or so, and it relates to Scott Morrison and that election win in May. Now, Leo Shanahan has jagged a big exclusive with Linton Crosby, of course. Linton Crosby, well known here in Australia, but also who was the political advisor behind Boris Johnson's rise to power. Now, he says that Scott Morrison is being held to a higher standard by political commentators because he proved them wrong with his shock win in last year's federal election. What do you reckon, Coram? Do you agree with those sentiments from Linton Crosby?
I'm going 100% agree with that one. Absolutely, yeah. Do you know, I again, watching all of this unfold, if there's one thing that left-wing media really hate, it's being proved wrong. And some of the most vocal, outspoken media commentators in this country got it horrifically wrong, and they still don't understand why. Just like they didn't understand why so many of us didn't want Turnbull leading the opposition into well, supposedly the opposition didn't want Turnbull leading the party in the run-up to the last election. We could see where that was going to go, and it wasn't going to equal a win. So I just think that they're waiting. And I think also, I've commented on this before, I think they look very nervously at the way that Trump handles the media, and they are trying to keep hold of the reins because they don't want Morrison to start getting any ideas on his media strategy from Trump.
Well, he is also, Kel, predicting that Donald Trump will be re-elected later this year. Linton Crosby, he's certainly a man who knows the game pretty well. So what do you make of that prediction?
Oh, look, he's on the money. He's absolutely on the money. This is a man who runs elections and wins elections, and has done so in Australia and has done so in the United Kingdom. And in the piece by Leo Shanahan, there are really interesting quotes about Boris Johnson in Britain, about Scott Morrison, but also about Trump. And what's happening at the moment is the Democratic Party is how can you describe it? They're committing electoral suicide. They are making the re-election of Donald Trump in this coming November absolutely certain by this impeachment process currently before the Senate, which is just absolute nonsense. And what you were saying, Corin, about the left-wing media can't cope is absolutely right. In America, it's even more obvious than here. Trump derangement syndrome has just driven them out of their minds. So they can't see that the American economy is doing really well, that the unemployment rate is incredibly low, that employment figures are the best ever for minority groups such as Black Americans and Latino Americans and so on. So they can't see that, they can't acknowledge that, they don't know why Trump's support base is as powerful as it is, and by constantly attacking Trump, they just make him look better and make him look stronger. So Linton Crosby is on the money on this one.
Yeah, he's a wise man, Linton Crosby. Of course, worked a great deal with Mark Textor, a man who was born and bred right here in the Northern Territory.